What you believe about yourself may be holding you back from greatness. Let's talk about limiting beliefs. What's up, y'all? My name is Elliot. I'm a mindset coach. I talk candidly about my journey as well as share tips to encourage growth and healing and uplift anyone who may struggle with feeling seen. So, limiting beliefs, we all struggle with them. Let's put that out there. But limiting beliefs are basically thoughts, beliefs, sentiments we may hold about ourselves or circumstances that hold us back from trying or achieving our goals, right? And limiting beliefs really give you a glimpse into maybe some deep rooted beliefs or experiences that we might not have processed and released fully, that we still carry and that inform how we view ourselves and then inform how we actually action upon our life and what steps we take to really be the best versions of ourselves or achieve our goals. And it's really easy to kind of lean on these limiting beliefs as excuses when things may get really hard, right? Sometimes when put up against a challenge or when faced with a challenge, it's a lot easier to tell yourself, well, I can't do this because of XYZ, and then dig for the evidence to support that, whether it be in negative experiences you've had or maybe things that people have told you or said to you or projected onto you, and then use that all to paint this picture to yourself of, well, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z, so I'm not going to try. And limiting beliefs are often reinforced by negative experiences, right? Because each experience is a data point if you really think about it. So the more negative experiences you have, especially if it's in a particular area that you may struggle with, the easier it is to develop a limiting belief in that area and just tell yourself, I can't, or I'm not good enough, or I don't know, et cetera, et cetera. And as always, I want to humanize this a bit because this is something, again, we all struggle with. I have struggled with it, and limiting beliefs still try to creep up on me to this day because I'm human and that's just how it works. So, one area of my life where I really struggled with limiting beliefs is in building relationships, and not necessarily just like romantic relationships, just relationships, period, relating with people and being in community and whatnot. And maybe this was some years ago. I remember I was talking to my therapist one day and I was telling her, like, yo, I feel like I don't know how to make friends. And really exploring this whole idea that I'm bad at making friends because I struggle to really feel like I made deep deep connections with people. And I had no issue kind of going into a room and making connections with people. I'm actually very good at that. And having these surface level interactions or acquaintanceships or connections or whatever, but I really craved deeper and much richer and much fuller connections that I just was having a hard time establishing. And I was starting to kind of feel like, something was going on and something was wrong with me. And eventually, through a series of, just negative experiences, relationships, and friendships, and, interactions and intersections with people that just didn't work out, I developed this limiting belief that I was either hard to love or hard to work with or hard to be around, which at this point in my life, I just look at that and I'm like, wow, it's crazy that I was really telling myself that. But that's genuinely what I started to believe about myself. And that put me in situations where, as I was trying to overcome that or actually establish relationships and make friends and just kind of build a community, find my tribe, I would then maybe get into relationships or build connections that were out of alignment with who I am at my core, and just brought a lot of friction into my life, discomfort, and sometimes just caused complete havoc in my life. And that was a byproduct of trying to overcome the limiting belief without actually addressing the limiting belief and what was underlying me having that belief about myself in the first place. So I really had to work to first shed this urge to people please that in part developed through or was reinforced by the limiting beliefs. and had to shed the whole idea of, hey, this is as good as it gets, because just because I want more or different doesn't mean this is wrong. And if somebody tells me that I'm asking for too much or looking for too much, or otherwise just kind of, puts me down for that, then hey, maybe this just isn't the place for me or the person for me to be around, or whatever the case may be. So I really had to come to a place of first accepting, hey, I feel this way about myself. Why, bro? Why are we doing this? And then work to unravel that and get deeper in that, and, kind of pick that apart. So, as always, I want to share some tips with you that have helped me and I hope will help you. First, I think it's really important when you're kind of probing yourself and looking at maybe a failure or lack of action, to ask yourself, what's stopping me from blank, rather than asking yourself, why can't I blank? And the reason I think it's really important to distinguish how you ask yourself the question, because you're really asking yourself in many ways, or you're trying to find the same response or get to the root of the same thing with both questions, but I feel like they really kind of produce different results. Asking yourself, what's stopping me from blank, allows you to identify very specific things that are stopping you, and then you can challenge those and be like, well, this isn't actually stopping me from anything, or maybe this is stopping me from something. I don't know. It gives you specific things to work with, rather than why can't I do XYZ. Just gives you an opportunity to kind of beat yourself up and look down on yourself, in my experience. I think it's also really important to examine experiences you've had that may have caused or reinforced the limiting beliefs, and really dive into how you showed up and what your part in that was. And the importance in that is, you may identify, hey, this is an area I need to work on, or an area I need to do something different. Or you may identify that, hey, maybe this was just all a projection and this is somebody else's stuff being cast upon me. I don't know. You got to start somewhere, and really examining and reflecting helps you get to some level of clarity in how you show up in situations. And then I think it's important to identify small shifts you can make to actually challenge the limiting beliefs. It's a lot easier to do things in chunks and bits rather than try to attack everything at once. So when you're dealing with years or decades of limiting beliefs, you're not going to unravel them all in one go. But by identifying small things you can start to do to challenge them, and making those shifts incrementally, you can kind of start to pick away at the foundation of the limiting belief, and over time, completely erase it and replace it with a more affirmative belief about yourself. So I hope those help you on your journey. And as always, I want to leave you with a reflective question. And today's question is, what stories do you tell yourself about you that hold you back? And how can you challenge them today? Think about it.